Imagine That, the podcast where we explore the magic behind the magic of your favorite theme parks. Join us as we pull back the curtain on the creative process, storytelling, and design principles that make Disney parks and beyond so immersive. Whether you're a lifelong fan, a curious creative, or just love spotting the details most people miss, you're in the right place. So get ready to tap into your imagination as we take a deeper dive into the lands, attractions, and stories that bring the parks to life. Let's imagine that together. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Imagine That. I'm your host, Amanda, and today we are talking about the one, the only, the legendary Mr. Bob Gurr. But before we get started, we want to thank our sponsors, Sunken City Design, Getaway Today, and Where in the Park. And of course, a big shout out to our lamplighters and our Patreons who are keeping that conversation going over on our Discord, which was on fire today with all of the news from the parks and everything from the Disney animatronic. So we have a lively conversation going on over on our Discord. And if you aren't in the conversation, you totally should. Scroll down to the show notes and click the join the Discord button and join us. It's free. It's a lot of fun, and we're all in there having a great time. So, yeah. Before we dive into our topic, let's first say hi to the rest of the crew. Sam, how's it going?
It's going. I'm excited for tonight. As always, we get to be creative and share history. So, definitely a good show to be part of.
Oh yeah. And Kevin, how are you doing tonight?
Doing great. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. Man, a few words today, I see.
Wrap it up. Let's go.
Last but not least, Louis, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. A bit bloated these days, but overall, I'm doing good.
So
that's lucky to short.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to share too much.
No, I understand.
You don't even know.
For those who do not know what we're talking about, you need to be in our Discord because that would have made a lot more sense.
Sugar and water.
We'll have plenty of conversation about the new Walt animatronic that is over at Disneyland. But this episode is all about the legendary Bob Gurr. And this episode is being released the Monday after the 70th celebration of Disneyland. And many of the ride vehicles at Disneyland were from Bob Gurr. So we wanted to honor him and share a little bit about his story. Then, of course, do an armchair Imagineering exercise towards the end. So, Sam, what can you tell us about Bob Gurr?
All right. So before Disneyland had parades or churros, it had wheels. And behind those wheels, we know, was a man named Bob Gurr, the mechanical mastermind who made Walt Disney's wildest ideas actually move. So today we're going to dive into the story about how he was a car-obsessed kid from LA and ended up becoming the backbone, essentially, of Disney ride systems and one of the last living links to Walt himself. So he was born Robert Henry Gurr on October 25th, 1931 in Los Angeles, California. From a very young age, Bob Gurr was fascinated by automobiles and aerodynamics, sketching car designs, and dissecting how things worked. He later enrolled at the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, specializing in industrial design with dreams of someday working for Ford or for GM. But fate had other plans for him. In 1954, Wet Enterprises reached out to Bob to design the Autopia cars for a brand new concept called Disneyland, which is why we're talking about this now. He was not only supposed to be a contract designer, or he was only supposed to be a contract designer. So it was going to be like a one and done deal. That was it. But Walt saw what Bob could do, what he was capable of, and he brought him on full time. Walt did not care that Bob wasn't an engineer. He cared that Bob could solve problems quickly, build things that actually worked, and bring sketches to life with style. So from 1954 into the 1980s, Bob Gurr would design nearly every ride vehicle for Disneyland and Walt Disney World. Some of those highlights are 1955, the Autopia vehicles. They were the first ever gas-powered cars for kids to drive at a time when freeways were still a new concept in California. We're still a new idea in California. But Bob Gurr's first attempt at the design was a little delicate. Guests were crashing them to pieces. So he had to build tougher, low-slung chassis, making the cars both crash-resistant and iconic. In 1959, we got the Matterhorn bobsleds. So it was the first tubular steel coaster in the world. Bob designed the sleek sleds that could twist and turn through the mountain, laying the groundwork for modern coaster design. He helped invent the system alongside coaster engineers again, with no formal engineering degree. We know the story behind that, how he had to essentially teach himself math too. Well, not just math, but to be able to make the turns work and all of that, make the vehicles work. 1959, we got the monorail. That was Walt's dream, a futuristic form of transportation. Bob took on the challenge of designing and building America's first daily operating monorail in just 9 months. Legend has it that Walt was so proud he convinced Vice President Nixon to ride it at the opening, even though the door got stuck and they almost had to jump out. The Doom buggies for the Haunted Mansion in 1969, the Omnimover system was Bob's invention. He wanted a way to control not just the path of the vehicle, but the direction the guest was looking, and that allowed Imagineers to direct your attention where they wanted you to in an attraction, or to hide effects until the perfect moment. It's still used in the Haunted Mansion, Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, the Little Mermaid ride, and more. He's worked on People Mover, Main Street Vehicles, Skyway, Submarine Voyage. Anything that moved, Bob Gurr essentially had hands in building it. Even the Disneyland Railroad saw his hand in refurbishments. He was known for sketching ideas on napkins, then walking straight into the shop to make them real. Prototype first, refine later. Working with Walt, Bob and Walt Disney had a very unique relationship. Walt called him Bobby and frequently dropped huge tasks in his lap with casual confidence. Bob Gurr has been quoted saying, Walt would walk in and say, "Hey, Bobby, I need a new vehicle for this thing I just dreamed up. Can you do it in 2 weeks?" And Bob Gurr would say, "Sure, Walt." He didn't have any idea how to do it, but he always figured it out. Bob Gurr was given freedom and trust by Walt. And in return, Bob delivered the impossible, whether it was the monorail's curved track or an animatronic Abraham Lincoln that could stand and gesture. Gurr made the magic believable. Post-Disney, Bob Gurr retired from Disney in 1981. His career did not stop, though. He worked with Universal Studios to design their huge King Kong animatronic for their studio tour. He consulted on shows, events, and vehicles all over the world. He designed the jetpack stunt for Disneyland's 1990 show that flew someone above Tomorrowland. In 2004, he became a Disney legend. In 2008, he published a memoir called Design Just for Fun. And in 2019, he starred in his documentary, Bob Gurr, Turning Dreams into Reality, chronicling his journey. Today, we know he still makes appearances at D23 conventions, Disney fan events. He does podcasts. He has his own podcast. We just talked about a little bit before we were recording his YouTube show. So he gets to tell his stories about the way that he built these things for the parks. So he's pretty fantastic. He didn't just move Disneyland. He moved all of us. And I think that's the legacy of an Imagineer.
He also wrote this book over here. I was just thumbing through. That's why I was looking down the whole time. Bob Gurr, Legendary Imagineer, Life and Times, Disney Beyond by Bob Gurr. It's like his autobiography.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. He actually goes into some details about the things you're talking about, where, I mean, when you hear Bob Gurr talks, whenever he talks, he has a lot of enthusiasm, and he says a lot of like I worked on, and it makes it sound like it was him kind of spearheading a lot of these projects. But this book kind of puts that, I don't want to say to rest, but it does kind of have it where it's a little more. Actually, Roger Brogy was head of like the engineering, and everything that works is because of him. Bob Gurr's job was the designer of how the vehicles were going to look. And honestly, a lot of the vehicles in Disneyland today don't have Bob Gurr's designs. You have the Haunted Mansion, obviously with the Doom Buggy. That is a Bob Gurr design, 100%. The vehicles on Main Street, a lot of those are his designs, not all of them, but obviously the omnibus is the big one. That's him, and the fire truck. Those are his big two. But other things he worked on, like the Autopia, the current vehicle design wasn't the Bob Gurr design. The monorail was not is not the Bob Gurr design. It was designed by oh no, I have his name here somewhere. Oh, George McGinnis actually designed the Mark 7 monorail that's out right now. So it's definitely inspired by the designs of Bob Gurr, 100%. I think that's kind of like the asterisk on all the little claims to fame of Bob Gurr's. Not that what he designed is in the parks, but everything that's in the parks is definitely inspired by his designs. Like he kind of set the visual style of the parks because he was there before it opened. Like Walt was like, "Hey, we need someone to design how this park is going to look," and he came up with a lot of designs, but they have evolved over time. Obviously, today's submarine voyage is not the same as the one that he designed. Even over in Universal, the King Kong Encounter is definitely not the one that he designed. That one burnt down years ago and was moved from Florida, where they have a big King Kong in Florida that's definitely inspired by Bob Gurr's design, but it is not. Um, I do also want to point out it's as far as how he got the job, it wasn't just like Wed reached out to him because like he was someone famous or anything. He did write two books on car design, and he wrote those books with a guy named Dan Post, who was actually friends with Ward Kimball, a very famous Imagineer. And he introduced him to Bob Gurr. Bob Gurr and him became friends. But also, on top of that, Bob Gurr was actually a childhood friend with Dave Iwerks, the son of Ub Iwerks. So it's those two connections that really got his foot in the door, where it's like, hey, we need someone who can do some car designs. We're working on a little ride for people to be able to go around in cars, hopefully kids. We don't have a design for it. We know a guy, so we got him signed up, and he was going to design the car for the Autopia. That was really what they signed him up for. That was all he was going to do. And he went on to design, like Steph said, many ride vehicles. He did work with obviously other people. You had Aero Development doing a lot of the actual design of the ride vehicles. He just tweaked them to make them look a little better. Um, I do want to, though, we did cover in the Claude Coates podcast in the last episode that Claude Coates actually designed the Alice in Wonderland ride vehicle. So not every ride vehicle was a Bob Gurr design. Most of Fantasyland was not. Other than I guess if you want to consider the Matterhorn as part of Fantasyland, it wasn't when Bob Gurr actually designed the Matterhorn. It was a Tomorrowland attraction, so it's kind of a confusing world that we live in with where we say things land as far as what they are, where they are. Also, you said Bob Gurr retired in 1981. According to his book, he uses the much more aggressive term that he was fired in 1981. He explains that the management in 1981 was very much into having an MBA. You had to have your degrees, and he did not. He was not a trained engineer in any shape or form. Again, he designed cars. He kind of went to school for that. He was drawing pictures. Is what he would do to make things that would look good in real life, and that's where his talent translated in the parks. He did work on the Lincoln animatronic. I'm not clear what exactly he like worked on making actually like bend correctly. They were having some trouble with the metal. So again, that was the beginning of all like human audio animatronics in theme parks. So when people say things of Pirates of the Caribbean or all these attractions that have audio animatronics, if it wasn't for the work of Bob Gurr, it's possible that they wouldn't look as good as they do without the work that he had done, just because he happened to be in the right place at the right time to point out either a mistake or just a other clever idea. That's kind of his story, and for better or worse, I guess. I think it's brilliant. I don't know. I've heard people kind of like poo-poo and being like, he claims he did everything, but like, what did he work on? Again, there's only two, three things still in the parks that are his designs. But he is a Disney legend, and he does have a window on Main Street. He is a big deal for Disney and Disneyland and theme parks in general. So that's the reason why we're talking about him today. And yeah, again, a lot of asterisks in the corporate bio of Bob Gurr. That I think I've cleared most of the ones that I had in my notes over here.
Yeah. So I mean, but like Kevin was saying, he touched pretty much everything at some point for opening day. That was there, Yeah, granted, there were a few things that he didn't, but his influence reached far and wide, and we still see it. Like, we just got the previews for we didn't. We saw them online, but for the Walt animatronic today, like Kevin was just saying, that first animatronic, the Lincoln animatronic, he had influence on that. So his work is still informing theme park attractions now. And I think that's going to be where our activity later today in this episode is going to be exciting, because we're going to have to take things and spice them up a little. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that later. Giving a new challenge through for Bob Gurr to kind of accomplish through our eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very interesting to hear like his list of accolades and all the things that he worked on. It's another to hear him talk about it. And so when you listen to his podcast, or if you live in the Los Angeles area and you've taken his Waltland bus tour, which I highly recommend you going and checking that out. It sells out super fast, and I hope he continues to do it um, for at least another couple of years, because it's fantastic to go around to the Los Angeles area and find all of these spots where Walt was, and hear the history of Disney and Walt, and go to his childhood home, and like all of these, or not childhood home, but like when he first came to Los Angeles, and all of the things, and hear Bob talk about it. He has the passion to, it's not just this was a job. It was, this resonated with me. I love this company so much. I love what it has done to bring families together, and to know that I was a part of it, and to continue that legacy, and sharing that with more people through these tours. He doesn't have to do that, but it is a blast. And you go to Griffith Park, and you do all these things. And it's more about Walt than it is about him, and that's just fantastic. So if you haven't had the chance to do that, and you are available on one of those days he's doing the tour, highly recommend. Um, he also has the documentary that's coming out in August of this year. I see that there's a screening going on in Lake Buena Vista, Florida, at the AMC Theater. His documentary, Bob Gurr, Living by Design. So that's exciting. I'm excited that's coming out. And then there's also going to be a tribute in Santa Ana, California, on July 27th. It's the Charles Phoenix Big Retro 70th Anniversary Disneyland Slideshow and Bob Gurr Tribute. So we're all of us all around the country, we are still honoring Bob as often as we can, because he's one of the few remaining OG Imagineers that we have. And so, like, we were kind of talking about it before we hit record, like, he's one of the few direct ties to Walt that we have, that were there opening day. And so any and all information we can gather from him and stories is truly special. So
Yeah, and for anyone who didn't do the math, he was born in 1931 in October, which means that he's currently 93 years old. So we're lucky that he's still around. He's still telling his stories. Um, like Amanda said, we don't know how much longer we're going to get to have that resource on this world with us. So definitely, if you can sign up for that Wallland tour, 100% do it. Again, there's a reason why it sells out quickly. Is because especially now everyone knows like they are running out of time to go on that amazing tour. For sure.
yeah. Well, if you need help booking your trip to California or to Florida in order to experience one of these things with Bob, then you need to contact Getaway Today because they can help you with all of that. So let's hear a little bit more about them and we'll be right back.
It's been a great show so far, but who's ready for an ad break? Did you know that the best way to keep our shows going is by supporting our sponsors? So let's get to know more about the travel experts at Getaway Today. They've been helping to make vacation dreams come true since 1990. And whether you want to visit the happiest place on earth or to travel to Orlando for a most epic adventure, they are there to help. Are you trying to find out which hotel is your best option or which theme park tickets will work best for your visit? Are you concerned that you might need a last-minute change? No worries. Their travel experts will help you out. Looking to book a cruise but don't know where to start? Hey, they can help with that too. They will find the perfect cruise for your vacation, whether it's your first time or you're a well-seasoned cruiser. When you book your cruise with one of the Getaway Today experts, you will have a dedicated agent to help you every step of the way. They take care of the details so you can have the most fun. Getaway Today offers peace of mind travel, allowing you to cancel or make changes up to 72 hours before your trip. You will always have the most up-to-date vacation information, both pre-arrival and upon welcome. Getaway Today guarantees the best prices, with no hidden fees, and every time you book through Getaway Today, they will donate a portion back to a charitable organization in your area. And so far, over $4.5 million have been donated. So go ahead and dial 1-855-GETAWAY, that's 1-855-438-2929, and be sure to tell them that Walt's Apartment sent you. Or just click the link in our show notes for more information and the best deals to start your Disney, Universal Studios, or cruise vacation planning. What I'm trying to say is, if you like to travel, check out Getaway Today. Alright, so now it's time to get back to enjoying that view from Walt's apartment. Let's get back to the show.
Absolutely. Call Getaway Today, wherever your next adventure may be. And yeah, we hope to see you somewhere on the park. All right, so where were we? We're talking about Bob. Lou, what are your thoughts about Bob?
Well, I don't like him. No, I'm playing.
Oh, no.
Wow.
I really appreciate a lot of Bob's work. One, most importantly, probably the Haunted Mansion, the Omnimover, the system, all that. Unless you're catching the Haunted Mansion as like with somebody that takes a little bit more time to get on or off, it's a very efficient system. It really is. I mean, there's a reason why before they ruined Ariel with the Fast Pass Lightning Lane, there's a reason why that line is max 20 minutes on a busy day. It just gobbles up guests. It's a cool system. It's a very complex system, but hands down my favorite work of his. But I think most importantly, outside of parks for him, that I really admire, just the overall who he is, what he's done, and also like I agree with what Kevin said 2 minutes ago, how he refers to as being fired. I mean, during that era, he wasn't one of the only ones that were let go that were like, hold the phone. What are you doing? And so for him to stay so passionate, humble, and just driven, but not only his success, but in a very healthy and very honorable way, a lot of his success is riding the coattails in a nice way, not trying to diss him, but riding the coattails of what Walt did. Like, hey, if it wasn't for Walt, I wouldn't be who I am today. We wouldn't know who Bob Gurr is. So for him to be able to like express that and say, hey, Walt did this, but so did I think is one of like the best things about Bob Gurr. And I have not seen an interview. I've talked to him twice now. Very stoked to say that Bob Gurr twice now. Talked to him. Never no type of, you give him an idea and there's even that look of, I won't say I don't like it, but nope. It's always just a genuine look like, hey, let's see where this goes. And so that's one of the things I take away most from him. But of course, I wouldn't be me if we didn't always joke about, hey, Bob Gurr built Disneyland. In about 10 years, you're going to get a partner statue, and it's going to be Walt holding Bob Gurr's hand, holding Mickey's hand. Just saying, you heard it here first. But no, overall, Bob Gurr has a lot of stuff to be credited for, and I'm stoked that we still have him around. And I'm very thankful for the few opportunities I have to meet him, and looking forward to September and October's, hopefully, fingers crossed, being able to bump elbows with him again.
Yeah.
And actually, a little shameless plug, Bob Gurr's got a couple Sunken City stickers somewhere in his stuff, so not many
That's
people can
awesome.
say they did that.
That's right.
Yeah, they're probably
So-
stacked somewhere.
We can dive in a little bit into a few of the stories for some of the attractions that he worked on if you guys would like to. Like, I can tell you exactly what happened with the Lincoln animatronic, what it was doing, what he had to fix. So
Okay.
for the World's Fair in 1964, they were doing rehearsals for it, and Lincoln was violently malfunctioning. It was like shaking, seizing up, collapsing. Bob was mortified by that, thinking that it would ruin Walt's name. So he fixed it barely in time, and Lincoln went on to wow audiences. But Bob Gurr is quoted saying that the stress from having to fix Lincoln nearly broke him. Like, that was one of the most stressful things because this was absolutely new. Like, there was nothing like it. And he had to figure it out because he didn't want to ruin Walt's reputation. And the jetpack stunt that I mentioned earlier was in 1990 for Disneyland's 35th anniversary. Bob helped to develop a real working jetpack for live park shows. A performer would launch from Tomorrowland and fly above guests, no wires. He worked with aerospace engineers to make it happen. And then 35 years after Disneyland's opening, he was still pushing the edge of tech and theater. And there's another thing that I just read about at a fan panel. Bob famously told a packed crowd, "People always ask me what the worst attraction was. It's simple. The flying saucers. They looked great, worked like garbage. Total nightmare. But hey, they sold popcorn while guests were stuck to win. So it was a win-win." He also worked on projects for Las Vegas and for the Olympics. He would work on special effects and parade floats for different events, and like lighting rigs and performance tech for opening ceremonies for the Olympics. I didn't know.
That's pretty cool.
And he's always consulted for other theme parks and theaters and ride manufacturers, tech companies. He's gotten a Themed Entertainment Association Lifetime Achievement Award. Did you guys know he drives a DeLorean?
That does not
We've seen
surprise
him
me.
not driving that. He also drives like a Hyundai or something. I can't remember what it was.
That's
We've
true.
seen him with other cars. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've seen him with very practical cars. It's been very interesting. Where it's like, Bob Gurr, what are you doing? I thought you'd have a sports car for sure.
Imagine that's why he's still around. He's like,
Oh, right.
gotta go jam
Probably.
back and fix this real quick, and I'll be right back.
I wonder if
Practical. I like it.
if they still consult with him, like Disney property. Like, do they reach out to him and be like, hey, can you come back over here and help us with this? Or if he had any, for anything with the Walt animatronic, maybe
I
any
mean,
expertise on that.
I would assume
doubt
that
it.
people are probably bumping elbows with him, like genuine, like, but nothing like almost having like talks with your grandpa. Like, grandpa, what was it like back then? And it's just like confiding in him. But I don't know if he's probably giving any type of real creative talk, and simply because technology is like really
So different.
like so different. And I mean, even Baxter is doing very little things, but still mildly active. I think Bob Gurr's just out there doing his own thing now. It'd be tight though if they are just still reaching out. I mean, they did do that promo recently with the Hitchhiker Goes light up Halloween decor. So like they are keeping him involved, not only maybe for the creative process, but necessary for the marketing purposes. Like, hey, Bob Gurr signed off on this, you know.
He's also just a super fun and quirky guy, like shows up to Disney panels and stuff in suspenders with like crazy socks and cracking jokes. And he's got like some sarcasm that definitely comes through in his podcast and like just jokes that he makes to the audience and stuff when he does do panels. And he was always working on his own projects too for fun, things that didn't necessarily have a place in the park, like fire breathing dragon heads and stuff like that. So he's definitely got his own niche as far as like the things that make him quirky. But I agree with Louis that the technology that would need to be utilized to enhance the park today is probably at this point out of Bob Gurr's wheelhouse. Not saying he couldn't figure it out, but it's a little bit heavier to kind of grasp some of those things than what he was figuring out initially. So I doubt that they consult with him still. I think it's more of like a media presentation and like just having his face still be part of the parks, as like when they have him for Disney Plus and shows, and like the Imagineering story, or having him come for D23, whatever they do. So
we can't forget about his bright red shoes. We
I
have
was
to talk
going to
about
say
his
the
bright
exact same thing. I was going to say, you mentioned all the clothes that he wears, but he's iconic for his red shoes if you've ever seen him in person. Also, he worked on the 1984 Michael Jackson Victory Tour. He did lighting effects somehow. At least his company did. So it's just, he went after kind of like, I don't know. It was just like whatever he can get, he kind of did it. I know he eventually did go back to Disney because he worked on the Catastrophe Canyon over at the then MGM Studios. Disney MGM Studios, now Disney's Hollywood Studios. But again, it's another attraction that's no longer there, but it was fun while it lasted.
But as we've said multiple times, his influence definitely still lasts in the parks and amongst Disney fans like ourselves. So he's an important one to talk about, especially with the opening anniversary quickly approaching.
Yes, definitely.
Well, by the time this episode is released, it'll already have been the anniversary. So, but we're still celebrating it for a few more months.
I have no doubts that he will be at the park for the celebration. So. Riding around on his UCV.
His Gurr-mobile.
His Gurr-mobile.
Maybe he'll drive his DeLorean there.
Maybe.
We can only hope.
That'd be great. That would be great. All right. Well, let's take another quick break and then we'll dive into our armchair Imagineering section. So yeah, we'll be right back after these messages.
Hey fam, what scavenger hunt are you doing?
Well, we are doing Where in the Park.
Do you guys know Where in the Park? Because we do.
We do.
So how you play this is that they give you a deck of cards with an image on it, and you get to look around and see where in the park that is.
And they're fun. So if you like to find stuff, this is what you need to do.
The amazing game, Where in the Park, right here.
If you're a seasoned Disney park goers as we are, it's a fun, challenging even for the hardcore Disney parks fan.
We have played the Where in the Park games that we felt like, ooh, we got
Still
this
a challenge.
Oh no. Yeah, still a challenge, a fun challenge though, not an impossible challenge.
Check
Yeah,
them
really
out.
they get really close to details, and you're like, I have never even seen that. I don't even know.
Where in the park have I seen that?
The great thing about these is that they're not in attractions and they're out in the open places. It's meant for families to play.
Besides people who've been there a lot, it's fun for people that are new to the parks as well, because you catch some of those details that you would probably miss when you're first going.
So there's images that you are finding on one side of the card, and then the other has the hint and the answer that you can reveal if you choose to.
Before it was just the hint and the answer, but now if you really want the land,
It'll tell you
they'll
where.
give you the land for an extra hint. You guys can take as long as you wish without the hint.
Yeah.
Without the hint, it's hard.
But that's what makes it fun.
But they do not just do Disney parks, obviously. What other parks do you guys actually cover?
Universal and
yeah.
all that good stuff.
East
SeaWorld.
Coast, West Coast, and they're
Yes.
continuing to expand even more after that.
Check them out, weareinthepark.com, if you need to get some game packs. They are so much fun.
We appreciate We're in the Park.
You know, they're awesome.
We
Kevin
love
and
that.
Amanda.
Get you some We're in the Park today.
Hell yeah.
Use promo code Walt's APT Podcast to save 10% at weareinthepark.com.
Yeah. Obviously, Kevin and I are from Where in the Park, so yes, we agree. Go check out whereinthepark.com and get some game packs.
Especially if you're celebrating the anniversary in the parks and you need to fill some space. Game packs.
Yes.
Perfect time.
This summer is going to be jam-packed with people, and the lines are going to be incredibly long for all of those, especially opening day attractions. And so our games are a great way to fill that time by not going in line for rides and instead experiencing the details in the theming of the park. So,
And if you do get a virtual queue time,
yeah,
that's another great time to go play some park games.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let us dive into our armchair Imagineering. So how this works for first-time listeners, if you're new, welcome. But we are taking the inspiration from our featured Imagineer of Bob Gurr this week and creating either a ride vehicle in this case, or just a ride in general, or something that it evokes the personality or style of that Imagineer, something that they might create or has just their flair or something in there. So blue sky session, there's no such thing as a bad idea. Just, one of these days we are going to see something new at a theme park, and it's going to be one of our ideas here on Imagine That. I have no doubts, because we have some really good ideas on the show. So with that, who wants to kick us off with a Bob Gurr inspired design? Lou.
Well, no, it was what you said.
Oh.
So there's an episode way back when I first started Walt's apartment. I mentioned Walt in the Abraham Lincoln Theater. I forgot what episode it was, but I was just pitching some shit. That and soaring over the anniversary parties. There was a bunch of things I was rambling on about, but it was early on. Like, if I would say the first 6 months of me doing podcasts with you guys here. So I don't know where it's at. I know it's out there because I know I said it, but I don't think I'm the one that called it, but I'm just saying.
So
I did say it here
Disney,
too.
so Disney can give you all of the credit for that attraction.
Hey, you can call me Louis Gurr going forward.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, Louis.
Gurr money. All right. Whoa. Okay there, duck. But I have one, and I'm obviously going where I would normally go. I want to see Bob Gurr for creating vehicles that he would create. His rendition of the fire truck, the double decker, and I forget the regular car's name for Main Street vehicles, but have him redesign those in a Toontown style to drive around Toontown. Obviously, it's a small land, so you'd only get one car at a time. But how rad would it be to get a double-decker Toontown style bus?
That would be pretty rad. I knew you were gonna go there. As soon as you started, I was like, let's go on Toontown.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, especially because they had the trolley back in the before times that tooled around Toontown, and that was just the cutest little thing bopping down the street. And I was surprised with the new Toontown that they didn't have some kinetics going on in there with the vehicles moving around. So yeah, to bring back some Toon vehicle. I mean, you do have the fire truck in front of the firehouse, but that's just a stationary vehicle. Like, that would be super cute if you could, obviously those tires are flat, but have an actual car, like you're saying, that's inspired by the tunes and stuff. But in that style, and actually moving down Toontown. That would be so cute.
Just doing like a quick Toontown cavalcade every hour and a half or so.
Yeah.
I know one of the problems with the trolley was that it had kind of a lower capacity, so a bus would probably solve that. And I was thinking, like, but it's always so packed over in Toontown. Like, how can you drive a car down the street? We were there with like the Main Street area packed full of people, and they still had like 2 omnibuses going on both sides of the road. So I guess that doesn't really matter. So I think it could totally work.
Yeah.
You have cast members that direct traffic and tell people to get out of the way.
I don't think they even had that for the omnibuses. They were just like
honking the
going.
horns.
They have a horn, yeah.
Slowly going. Oh my gosh.
All
right.
Yeah, great
I like
idea,
it.
Lou.
I can jump in here because I'm going to kind of go off of an idea that Lou gave us a couple episodes ago when he said the monorail shouldn't just be transportation, it should be a ride. And he talked about making the different vehicles like different themes and stuff. So, or he talked about the stations. So I'm going to go with that. And I think that we should, so Bob Gurr would have to learn some new technology for this from what I'm wanting, but he figured it out then. So we're going to take his style and try and make it happen. We would still have, I would still have the same route. So I'm not changing that, Lou. But it would have like an immersive like cabin technology. So there would be like smart glass windows that can have like AR overlays on them. And as you pass like key landmarks on your journey, like we could even use it as like kind of like a love note to the past where you get to see concept art of like Walt's Epcot. So I'm thinking like Walt Disney World. And you can hear like narration about like the things that would have had. So like one of the cards would be like the past or like a love letter to Disney in the past. Another cart would be like futuristic, and it doesn't even have to be park futuristic. It could be just like a futuristic society of like from today's. So they're going to have to keep adjusting it, obviously, because that's what we need are attractions that they can continuously update, not like Carousel of Progress. And then they could change them as often as they need to so that it's not like a dry experience. I even thought about like tying them to like magic bands or to something you can tap in the app. And it's like a monorail like passport thing. Lou, I think you talked about that too, like something in the like stations. And they can make it a game, kind of like, I know I've brought it up before, Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom, where you can collect things in the app for like the Parks app, and you can like unlock hidden visuals, collect badges, and just encouraging people to use the monorail. There could be like augmented reality Easter eggs that pop up based off of like whatever you've got going on in your Magic Band or your app. And they can even do like a nighttime, like connect it to like the fireworks show, or do like a nighttime run that's special. Just there's so many opportunities if they were to like just change those windows and make them augmented reality and make each experience unique every time you write it. There's rewritability. I don't know.
Yeah, that reminded me of the Hogwarts Express going from
That's what I was picturing too.
Universal to Islands of Adventure in Florida, where you're in a ride vehicle, but it's all enclosed, and the screen changes depending on if you're going from Universal to Islands of Adventure or back, and you have the characters and all that going on around you. So to plus that, essentially, with the gamification of it and have it be with the storytelling aspect of that as well. Of we're now passing over, whatever, and doing like some history parts about that. I mean, you could even have it where it is like you control the story that you wanted,
like a choose your own adventure type of thing. Yeah.
Do you want to learn more about the history, or do you want to have some character interaction?
And even if they didn't have the they have the ability to, but if they didn't have the effort right now to put into augmented reality smart glass windows, they could still do something app-based. And think about how many parents are shoving phones into their kids' hands or tablets or something to keep them busy while they're sitting there. Give them a learning opportunity where they're hearing something about the ride vehicle that they're on, or they're interacting with something Disney around them other than just being in the monorail and crying because they're hot and tired and hungry. So giving them a Disney attraction or Disney distraction inside an attraction.
Like it.
Just to be that guy once again. The only issue I see with augmented reality on the current monorails is that there's no air conditioning, at least in California.
Yeah.
So you have to have the windows cracked open, which makes it where it's kind of tough to put a screen there. But I do like the idea of just putting it on the phones instead. So just throwing it out there as far
not
as
having air conditioning is your first way to plus the monorail.
100%.
I'm not sure why we haven't fixed that yet. I mean, we
haven't solved that one yet.
The monorails could definitely use some enhancements with that. I've talked long about the route itself and my envisioning for not having it circle all around itself 3 times. So we can just do a major overhaul of the monorail itself, back on the track, revamp the vehicles, make it happen.
But even if they kept the track and you're like, I'm just saying, that's a lot harder to to change. But if they even kept the track and you have something else it's a different experience when you're in the ride. You're not just sitting there watching it go around itself.
Right.
So.
Yeah, Amanda and I are definitely on team. Let's have the monorail just be transportation. You don't need to loop through the whole park anymore. But it'll give you so much more land too for the park. There's so many reasons to do this. But again, that's just our dream. It'll probably happen someday.
Someday.
Yeah.
Like at Disney World, it's great. It is transportation that I can see doing really well with what you're talking about, Sam, because you're just traveling over trees. And freeway. So that makes sense to have something more what is there to do while I'm sitting on this ride, or this mode of transportation. So I'm all for it. All right, well, before we get into our last 2, let's take our last break and hear from Sunken City Design.
What's that?
Sunken City Designs brings you art. Do you like art? I know I do. How about art based on Disney characters, like Mickey Mouse and the Oyster Thieves? That's actually from Alice in Wonderland, the best princess movie ever made. Also, we have some dwarfs that have their heads ripped off sometimes. Why? I don't know. It's because it's Sunken City Design. So go there, sunkencitydesign.com. Get yourself some great merchandise. You got posters and, I believe, clothes. Who knows? I got a cup from there, and it's fantastic. Do you like cups? Do you ever use those? I do. Go for it. Oh yeah, sweatshirts. Can't forget about those. If you're ever cold, get yourself a sweatshirt from sunkencitydesign.com. Also, WALL-E. That's the best movie ever made. Second only to Alice in Wonderland. All right, if you also like Walt's apartment, they have merch for that too. Where? sunkencitydesign.com. Hopefully you've already loaded up that site and you're looking at it and you have some items in your cart. Go ahead and check out as soon as you can because the show's about to come back on. All right, everybody, we appreciate you.
We do appreciate Sunken City Design. Lou, what's going on in Sunken City Design Land? What are you working on?
Working on a lot of things right now. Probably the next, I'd say, 15 days or so, we should have a big announcement for what's coming up and stuff like that. But at the same time, you have a big announcement coming up. We're looking at. Let me pull up the calendar actually, so I can give you an exact date. Because right now, my numbers are all. So right now, if you're following me on Instagram, keep an eye out for the Instagram around the 2nd or 3rd of August. We got a big announcement coming out. And then after that big announcement, as ironic as it sounds, myself and actually a few people that I'm collaborating with are going to be going into hiding for roughly about 6 months and putting the pedal to the metal. We'll be posting little snippets on Instagram, but going to be taking a social media break because we got a lot of new things in the works. But in the meantime, I am working on a piece that I'll show right here on Imagine That, which I think is a pretty fucking cool piece. I did it today during my staff meeting. So if you guys, I'm a little early on Halloween, but if anyone's familiar with the General Mills cereals during Halloween time, I did my own Frankenberry, Count Chocula, and Blueberry. It's kind of a little hard to see. Or no, it's not. There it is.
God, how do I make? Hang on. Here we go.
Yeah, so
there's
that bad boy.
Nice.
And so I did that during the staff meeting today. It's fun. This book right here, this little bad boy, will become something of a cool item in this announcement. Oh, still big.
Sorry.
No, you're good. It will also become a cool item that I'll be announcing the 2nd or 3rd. As long as everything's dialed in. It will be that weekend. I just don't know if we're doing it Saturday or Sunday based on a few timelines of things that have to be completed. If so, it will be out that weekend, though, the announcement. And get ready.
That is so exciting. I love that piece that you just shared too. So if you are listening to us and you have no idea what we're talking about, then you need to go over to our YouTube at the 51-minute mark so you can see what Lou just shared with us. It is awesome. So I can't wait to see what big announcements you have coming up and see what you got coming down the line.
And
that's exciting.
If you join our Discord, if you're joining our Discord, there'll be a post in there as well. So as we are recording this, I am updating the Sunken City page on our Discord so you can see that piece immediately. So if you can't watch us because you're at work and you're listening, you can hop on your phone that you're probably playing on right now and join our Discord for free and check it out.
There you go.
Nice.
There it is. That's awesome. All right. So back to Bob Gurr. So I guess I'll go next. So my it's an attraction / experience. I don't really know what to call it yet, but I'm thinking that this could go either or both in Epcot in the Imagination Pavilion or Tomorrowland at either Disneyland or Magic Kingdom or all three, really, because my vision is for a motion simulator / interactive experience in that it's going to be focused on the creative process and storytelling. So you would have a pre-show, and Bob is fully in this experience with you. So you're going to enter into this Imagineering lab, and the pre-show / queue is going to have like all of these sketches and models and screens showing Bob and the Imagineers at work, maybe designing different ride vehicles that we know and love, and you can even have a pre-show of Bob himself or just some archival clips or something like that with his little quirks, sketch it fast, test it faster. But ultimately you are met with a challenge. The guests are met with a challenge of designing your own ride vehicle to solve a specific theme park challenge. So you get to choose your type of ride vehicle, trackless, suspended, boat, omnimover, whatever. Choose your theme of a jungle or a retro future or something like that. Um, Key engineering features, such as elevation shifts, speed changes, spinning, and then custom add-ons or whatever. So, like how you would do for test track, how you're designing your car, um, but you're actually going to design this ride vehicle depending on the challenge that's put before you. And Bomb's voice can be in there with like little quips of keep it simple, make sure, if it moves, make sure it stops too, all of these different things as you're building your design. And it can even, that's what I was thinking, it was like an experience where it can be at your own pace too. Whereas test track, you're on a time crunch and before you have to go to the next room and you're like, oh, I wanted to make a couple of things. This could be on your own pace and design really what you want to design. And then you can take that design to this motion simulator vehicle pod where you can upload your design and that world forms around you to fit that scenario. So it could be like Smuggler's Run where there's like buttons to push and things to do in this world that you've just created. So it simulates that challenge. Um, and you can have some other interactive elements that the things that you do are impacting the world around you. So you can make it a game-based thing if you want. Um, but just something exciting with the limitations. Obviously, the engineers would have to get together of the limits and of things, but um, just having that creative element with the storytelling of okay, these are things that we actually deal with as Imagineers. There's problems that are put before us all the time, and we have to think creatively, just like you did. We put our sketches to the model shop, and then we put it out there, and then things go wrong, and then we have to go back to the drawing. How do we fix these challenges, and make it happen? And you just became part of that process, and so it's putting yourself into that real world.
I would say buy Mission Space.
No.
Kevin said no.
No, I agree completely. Just oh no.
Yeah.
It's about time.
Buy Mission Space. So that would be a perfect
want
spot for it.
Horizons
And
back.
they've already got vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean it could be they have the technology, where you're talking to like an AI screen of a character. Like at D23, we were chatting with Rocket and he was talking back to you. And you could do the same thing with something like with Bob. We have so much footage of him in various interviews.
Hologram
and all
Bob.
of that. Do a hologram Bob, but because I mean, Bob is one of those people now, that so many people know who he is. Like we were talking about with Walt and the animatronic, of a generation of people, of kids don't know who Walt Disney is. And I feel like Bob is more out there, doing his thing than, so more people know of Bob. And like Lee was mentioning before, of like, this is like, chatting with your grandpa of like, hey, how did this go? And like, what did you do with this? Like, this could be that real world experience, real world in quotes, of like, this is how we did it. And you put yourself in that scenario too.
Yeah. It's got storytelling. It's got rewritability.
Yeah.
Never the same experience unless you build the same exact ride vehicle every single time. But yeah, I like it. And I like that it adapts to the experience too. Sorry, Kevin.
Tying into what Amanda was just saying with Bob Gurr being kind of like, I think he was the first Imagineer to really like come out and start telling his side of the story, or at least if you look into Imagineering, it's really a team sport where everyone's like, we worked on this, and then Bob Gurr, after again he was fired and created his own little company, and as it kind of came to an end, he started coming out and telling his own side of the story. And as far as what I would want in the parks based off of his designs, there is an article from Mice Chat from 2013, because again, this is written by Bob Gurr, because he was one of the few people actually telling stories about his time working for the company. And he has a little article here about his working with Sequoia Creative Incorporated, which is a company that was formed by him and two other Imagineers after he left Disney. And they worked on stuff like that King Kong attraction for Universal, but also for the MGM Disney MGM studio in Florida. Like I said before, they worked on Catastrophe Canyon, which was the stop on their tram tour. And the reason why in this article he explains that they got the job was because Disney had designed this stop. Like they were like, hey, we want for it to have all these special effects. This is what it should go and look like. They gave it to his company, and then they came back saying, okay, cool, this will cost this amount. And Disney was like, no, we can't afford that. Sorry, we came to you, you know. Then Bob was like, whoa, 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 hey, I'm not just gonna take no for an answer. Tell me what your budget is, and how about I go backwards through it and figure out what we can make for you. And it was like kind of that thinking of like, how do we make something that's actually within your budget instead of you telling me what you want and then trying to like make that fit into your budget. So he went through and made adjustments to their show to have it where it would cost less money, and it eventually was built. And no one knew that it wasn't what was originally designed, but it worked, and it was affordable. And to that point though, what I would like, I don't even care where it goes. Like I keep trying to think of like if this would be great in Galaxy's Edge or where. It doesn't have to be the same show, obviously, as Catastrophe Canyon. But if you don't know what it was, if you've been on the Universal Tram Tour, or if you went in Florida when they had the whatever that was called, I can't remember, the disaster ride, where you went to like an area where all of a sudden everything starts going wrong, where it feels like there's an earthquake and there's fire effects and water effects and a big tanker that catches on fire, and like, you know, the road gives out, just a bunch of special effects that happen, and then the tram moves on and all of that resets right at the next tram. So I would love it if there were areas in the park that can kind of do that every once in a while, just come to life and be kinetics just for a moment. Maybe just like, you know, every hour on the hour. I know there's stuff still in like Las Vegas that does this kind of thing, or at least there used to be. Where you would have an experience, you can go and see it, and it would be like, oh, awesome, this world is alive, and then you would move on and do your next stuff within your day. I know at obviously Avengers Campus we have that Spider-Man Stuntronic that kind of has the same vibe to it, as far as everyone knows like at this time this is going to happen, crowd around. So I would like to have a few more experiences like that. Like I said, I don't know if Galaxy's Edge can really use that the most, probably, but just other areas of the park, even the Hollywood land that they're keeping, to have like an area that kind of turns into Hollywood and things happen. I would love to see that.
I love that. Well, I mean, just like at Hollywood Studios, like the street performers, they don't really have them anymore, but like they had their limos, and like, you know, they had their little mini parade that they would do. But it's just those things that you said just add movement to the land. They're not a huge deal. They're something that happens often, but they add to the land, they add to the experience, and they bring that land to life. I like that. Actually, while you were talking about like the disaster attraction, not the attraction, but it was just the experience, right? It reminded me of when I was a kid, we used to take a field trip to something called the Survive Alive house. And they put us in this house and they would simulate a fire and we were kids, and we had to figure out how to escape from a house that was on fire. And like at one point, like we're literally climbing out of a window onto the roof of this building as like 7-year-olds. And it was just like a tiny house that they had built just to simulate for kids how to get out of a house that's on fire. But that's what that reminded me of. Like you would tap the doorknobs in certain rooms and they would be hot, and like they had like simulated smoke, and you would have to like go under it and get around it. So you just brought back some.
I want to say the I want to say the old Innoventions at Epcot had something a little similar to that. Like not as extreme as your Indiana experience there, but they had to think about like, if there's a hurricane, what will you do, So like
Yeah.
they've had disaster preparedness like as I don't want to say an attraction, but at least something that you would experience in a theme park. And I don't know if that's what this would be that I'm describing, but I just want something that would look really cool, at least for a short moment in time, that people can experience throughout the day.
Well, you just unlocked a core memory for me, Kevin. Thanks, because I forgot
Okay.
all about that.
Well, hopefully you don't need those skills anytime soon.
Right. No, I like that idea too. When you mentioned Hollywood Land, and then I was just brought back of yeah, you had movement, and that was with the trolleys. And it should really come back. But um, they do have the vehicle that goes with the five and dime, as they go down the street and stuff. Um, but I would love to see this in Galaxy's Edge. Absolutely. We've talked about this on not just Imagine That, but on some of the other shows, Walt's Apartment too, of that that land needs some assistance in the kinetics area. So it both coasts have a lot of potential and a lot of space vertically to do stuff.
We
And
talked about the dragons that fly over
uh-huh.
Universal. Like, why do you not have fighter jets that like fly over? And you don't even have to be real ones. They could be shadows. You could just have
I don't think
shadows that are
Universal's actually unveiled those yet.
no,
Like
I
they
know, but
showed like
it's
one image of it, but they haven't actually had them in the parks.
right. But they've been talking about it for a very long time. But yeah, even just having shadows, it doesn't have to be anything physical that is flying over. They can find ways to projection map that. So
We need something visual, not just audio ships flying around.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. And like in the docking bay 7 area where you have the cargo ship that is stationed on top of docking bay 7, that is like it's a stationary thing, but it's lowering down a container into the docking bay. That should move. Like the kinetics should be moving. So like to your point of bringing something to that land, I am all for. Let's make that happen like today. So awesome. Well, that was a great blue sky session. Anybody have any other closing thoughts before we wrap things up?
That I can think of.
All
Other than
right.
Bob Gurr's great. Definitely go out to the Walt Land tour. And if you can see that
Yes.
movie, we haven't not seen it yet. We were busy that weekend that they showed it last month um, over in this area in California. But yeah, definitely if you get a chance to see it. I know we'll see it as soon as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that Walt Lantor is one of the core memories that I have. Um, and we were fortunate enough to ride the Griffith Park merry-go-round and sat in the same row as Bob Gurr on that merry-go-round. So that was definitely a core memory. And that trip was just amazing. So that was 2019.
I have
Can't
no
remember.
idea how long ago that was.
Years
It
ago
feels like
now.
forever. Yeah, a lifetime
Yeah,
ago.
years ago now.
Yeah.
But yes. So if you have enjoyed this episode, and I hope you have, please scroll down on your podcast player and give us a 5-star rating. And if you have just an extra minute to leave us a written review or share it with another armchair Imagineer, it would be amazing. It means the world to us. Only takes a couple seconds, and it tells Apple and Spotify and all the other players that we're doing something awesome. Really helps out the channel. If you're checking us out over on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Be sure to check out our amazing sponsors, our absolutely free Discord, and our Patreon page for more details. Links to everything are in the show notes. But until next time, continue to place trust in the magic of imagination. And remember, the details within the park surround us in our everyday everyday lives. Imagine that. Have a good night.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land. Here age relives fond memories of the past, and here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future. Disneyland is dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that have created America, with the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.